How good is the internet in Colombia actually? Welcome to How to Expat. My name is Sam, and at How to Expat we help expats relocate. And if you're a digital nomad, somebody that teaches online, let's say English or something like that, you already know that you have to have good internet. And we get the question asked a lot, how good actually is the internet here in Colombia? Because some people of course think it's the third world and I don't know. So let me give you kind of the boots on the ground. How is it actually? Here in the different cities of Colombia. So in Medellin, where I live, for example, mostly with the apartments, a foreigner would find comfortable internet is really good. The thing you have to know though is that the standard rate of internet is around 10 megabits per second. So if you go in an Airbnb, if you go in a hotel or anything like that, chances are that the internet is around 10 megabits per second, which is not that great, especially if you're from the US and you're used to 5G and 1000 megabits per second. You could think, yeah, but 10 megabits a second, that's nothing. But what a lot of people don't know, 10 megabits per second is good enough for most things. So Skype uses around half megabits per second, so 0.5. To stream, let's say Netflix, it's maybe 1 or 2 megabits per second. So it's really enough for most things. An issue a little bit is if you have 10 megabits per second, that's just download. So upload there will be around 1 megabit per second, which is barely, or yeah, it's kind of enough to do a Skype consultation or something like that. So be aware that if you do Skype or anything like that, you maybe want to go into an apartment where you can raise the 10 megabits per second, or which has at least 20, because with 20 megabits per second download, you will have 2 megabits per second upload, which is very, very important if you want to have a Skype consultation. So that's one thing I found out. And then the other thing you have to be careful, if you have 10 megabits, a plan which has 10 megabits, if you then have a crappy router or you're a little bit away from the router, yeah, it's very very common that you then receive way less than 10 megabits per second. Again, if that's not too bad, if it's, let's say, 50%, if it's just 5 megabits. But yeah, if you then need the upload because you do Skype consultations, upload videos, you just have 0.5 megabits per second upload, which is very, very bad. Yeah, and it's mostly not enough for a Skype consultation and things like that. So be aware of that if you're a digital nomad or yeah, need, especially teaching English. That can really be a factor that you then want to have a hardcore line, so an Ethernet cable or something like that, to make that happen. So for my example, we have not so let's say the best router ever, and yeah, we upgraded to 50 megabits per second where I live, just to kind of, yeah, when I'm even in a bad place where I have no good connection in the home, that I still have more or less a sufficient connection. Then what about other cities in Colombia? So let's say Bogota. Bogota will be as it is in Medellin. So for example, in Medellin we don't really have too many internet outages, so not more than what I've experienced in Switzerland, which is maybe 5-10 times a year for maybe half an hour or a couple of minutes, which is really normal. In Bogota, it will be the same story. On the coast, for example, the whole thing is a little bit different. The amenities, the infrastructure on the coast is not that great. So yeah, on the coast, it really comes down to where you are. So black outages on the coast are a little bit more common. They're not, yeah, you won't experience that every day in most places, but it's just a little bit more. And if you're not in the right place, can be uncomfortable if you work online. So make sure beforehand, before you book an Airbnb, that you try to check out the reviews to see if there's somebody telling anything about power outages or bad internet connections or anything like that. Because yeah, on the coast it's very hard to say how it actually is, because in many different places it's different. So yeah, Hope kind of this video helped to get or that you can wrap your head around how it could be if you come to Medellin, Bogota, and these kinds of places in the Andes or in the mountains. Internet will be fine. Just have a little look at what kind of speeds it has and if you can upgrade the speeds if you rent a long-term apartment. If you rent an apartment with us, with all the apartments, you can do that, and some apartments are already 20 megabits or more for the speed you have in there. So yeah, again, hope this video helped, and see you in the next video.